Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
And I did promise that we would talk about Brexit because we had some quite dramatic comments from the Foreign Minister of Ireland, Simon Coveney, warning that the entire Brexit deal could be set aside if the UK government goes ahead suspending parts of the Northern Ireland Protocol. You know, this would be done by triggering the part of the agreement called Article 16, which Lord Frost, the Minister responsible for EU relations, has been talking about doing for some time. Here is Simon Coveney. The trade and cooperation agreement that was agreed between the British government and the EU is contingent on the implementation of the withdrawal agreement, which includes the protocol. One is contingent on the other. So if one is being set aside, there is a danger that the other will also be set aside by the EU. Alistair, do you think the EU would really go ahead with this?
I think to go back to what John Major said the other day, he said that he thought the EU up to now were trying to deal in very normal diplomatic terms on this, but I do think they're running out of patience. And I was in Belfast on Friday, and I did a meeting with the Northern Ireland Chamber of Commerce. Now, this is an organisation that is not by any means militant. If they were living here, I suspect most of them would be Tories. I've never known such anger and contempt for this government. And we did a show of hands in the thing. Is Brexit going well? 100% no. Could the protocol be made to work? They actually thought a majority that it could. Who did they blame for it not working? 85% the UK, 15% Europe. And this is the one that absolutely stunned me. How much do they trust? Do they trust Johnson and Frost? 0%. Do they trust Coveney and Varadkar? 80%. Now, that is the Northern Ireland business community who is at the sharp end of this and who is looking on, and I think seeing Boris Johnson and David Frost and Dominic Cummings. You know, I don't believe a lot that he says, but he did say that they knew when they were signing it that this is what they were going to do. And there is a real danger, I think, that we're going to do, again, if I may quote John Major, we're going to do massive damage to people, businesses, and to the peace process, and to our reputation in the world.
All right. I mean, Camilla, if it ends up without a trade deal, if Simon Coveney and what he says actually happens, it will be a complete failure of statecraft, won't it, from Boris Johnson? We end up with no deal.
Probably be a failure of statecraft on both sides. I don't understand why John Major didn't call it out. Why is it always a travesty if Britain wants to trigger Article 16, which is a mutually beneficial safeguard to protect the integrity of the protocol? Why didn't he call that out when the EU actually invoked it over COVID jabs? Yeah, it's this sense that, oh, anything that the EU does is done in some kind of vein of virtuousness. Anything the UK does isn't. Some of these outstanding issues that they want to resolve include cutting customs checks, so red tape around medicines, and the movement of pets. So is Alistair saying he would rather that this was all tied up in endless bureaucracy, or would he like to see a resolution? And in which case, who's acting unreasonably here?
Yeah, you can.
Can I answer her question? She seemed, yeah, right. So the short answer to that is no. But bear in mind, this is the deal that they said all these loose ends were already tied up. The reason why Get Brexit Done was such a lie was because we knew, those of us were saying, that this is going to have to then lead to further negotiation. For example, on the things that you mentioned, more importantly, more significantly, on financial services, on relations with the city. And it now suits Johnson's political interest, which is all that he cares about. He's not well motivated by the national interest or the needs of the British people and British business. We know what he thinks about British business, and it begins with F. He wants to keep this nonsense going. And I think up till now, the European Union has actually been pretty patient, pretty reasonable. And I suspect John Major did call it out, but I don't know.
No, he didn't.
But I've noticed you like playing the man, not the ball.
All right, Alistair.
John Major,
yes, Tim, have a go, as you call it.
You know when Alistair's desperate, when he's pleading John Major and Dominic Cummings in aid of
fine.
his...
But what about the substance? I mean, the Daily Express's front page is on the brink. Brexit trade war looms.
There is a lot of brinkmanship going on here. Why is it that with all the problems about the Northern Ireland Protocol, why is it that 20% of all the cross-border checks across the whole of the EU are happening around Northern Ireland? That is entirely political and manufactured by the EU to make it difficult. Why is
No,
it?
it's because of the
Why is it?
border that you
Alistair,
created.
please, there are four of us
I will
in this
come to, and I must
relationship.
bring Angela in too. But go on,
Why
Tim.
is it
Hang on.
that the Prime Minister of France wrote to the EU basically saying that the UK needs a punishment beating
No, he
for
didn't
coming
say that. He
out
didn't
of
say
the
that.
EU?
Joe, can you
Yeah,
challenge the
Alistair,
law?
Yeah, he
please.
did.
No, I
He
won't.
didn't say.
That's what is behind all
He
this.
didn't use punishment.
Joe,
did he? Let's try.
I'm
Hang on.
effectively
He
punishment
didn't
biting.
use.
Joe,
Well,
you've got to
effectively
tell
is
the
not the
right.
same as writing punishment. Bidding. So we do have to be accurate in terms of what we are quoting. People, Alistair.
Being accurate. So they talk such utter nonsense because Tim's another one. What was his group? Leave means leave, or Brexit? I can't remember what his group was. Fair enough. Believe in Brexit if you want to, but at least admit when it's not going well and try to address the substance of the problem.
It's not going well. I've told you why
Yes,
it's not going
correct.
well. So it needs goodwill on both sides, and there's no
Correct.
goodwill coming from the EU. So
That
why are
is-
you
and I would argue
constantly
that's not true.
standing up for the EU rather than standing up for the UK?
No.
Are you just?
I am
Constantly.
standing up. I am standing up for the Northern Ireland peace process, which you lot are
So
putting
why
in
didn't you
peril.
call out the
with the
EU when they
border,
invaded
with the
Article
border
16?
Guys,
that Johnson said would put there over his dead body.
Right. Okay. I'm going to bring in Angela. Let me just get back to what. Let me just get back to Lord Frost, Lord David Frost, and what he's been saying, because he has said that the Northern Ireland Protocol has to be changed because it's undermining the Good Friday Agreement, because it doesn't, in his view, have democratic consent from all the communities. Do you accept that?
I'm a former Northern Ireland minister, so I don't want lectures from David Frost on this, because why wasn't somebody from Northern Ireland in the room when they were discussing this? This is David Frost and Boris Johnson's deal. They negotiated it with nobody from Northern Ireland in the room, and now David Frost refused in the House of Commons to myself and Baroness Lady Chapman last week to even show us the documents they've sent to Brussels in order to discuss this matter. I just feel like I want to knock everyone's heads together at the moment, I have to say. But
It may come to that.
it may well do, and it might probably be a better solution we've got so far. But let's look at the fact. If they deal with facts, and Boris Johnson's never been one to sort of sit down and sensibly and calmly work through an issue. He'd rather fire off politically. While he's talking about Brexit, he hasn't got to deal with sleaze or fuel prices or HGV drivers or whatever. The EU says that their proposals will cut 80% of the burdens on business they're experiencing now. Business is saying it's 10%. They're factual. Why doesn't everyone sit down and negotiate? Just threatening to use Article 16 doesn't get us any further forward and doesn't help. The only way forward is sensible negotiations. Now, both sides should do this. This is the only way forward. Having trade wars isn't going to help this country at all. And Northern Ireland business, I was a former trade minister in Northern Ireland, they are really going to suffer for this. So if they're interested in helping Northern Ireland, show us the papers that's been sent to the EU, have people from Northern Ireland in the room, perhaps have the discussions in Belfast anyway. But at the moment, we're getting nothing out of this government except a manufactured row, making it worse. And the EU and Simon Coveney doesn't help it either.
Do you accept that?
Oh, there's fault on both sides.
Yeah, but do you accept what the government needs to do?
I accept they all need to get round the table and negotiate this, and there's an awful lot of brinkmanship going on here.
This was Boris Johnson and David Frost's deal. They negotiated
Yes,
it.
but
They didn't know what they were signing.
The way the EU have implemented
it's always somebody else's fault.
No, well, it's always our fault, apparently.
No, it's
All right,
not.
well, I tell you what, I'll make it my fault.
Both sides.
For this discussion, it's my fault, because we've got to...
both
No, Alistair,
sides.
because we've got one more story to do, and we've run out of time. I did see your hand go up.